Om Shri Sai Ram. Welcome to Sri Sathya Sai Lok Seva Gurukulam. Today we are going to go through the lesson called Light, Shadows and Reflection. So which is of 6th standard. Okay. So suppose you are in a dark room. Are you able to see things in the room? No, right? What is needed to see the room, things in the room? Light. So light can be of natural or artificial. How do you see objects in this world? See, the natural thing is sun. Torchlight is an artificial source. So you need light in order to see things. Where does the light come from? Source of light. The light can be from a candle, a torch or the sun. Light is a form of energy and it is essential for life on earth. Without light, just like we can't see, in the same way, even the vegetation or humans, everyone need light in their daily life. There can't be vegetation without light, sunlight. So let's come across luminous and non-luminous objects. Lights helps us to see objects. Sources of light, the torch bulb or the sun. Objects that give out or emit light of their own are called luminous objects. For example, the natural one is the sun, torch or electric light or candle. We are able to see all the other objects which are non-luminous when light from the luminous object falls on them and then the light travels towards our eyes. So for example, see, the sun is there. What are we seeing? When sunlight comes and falls on some objects like trees, buildings which are non-luminous. So trees and buildings never emit or give light. It uses the sun's light and the sun's light will fall on those objects which are called non-luminous objects and it will return back to our eyes which we can see. So let's come across transparent, translucent and opaque objects. Transparent object. An object which can be seen through clearly and allows light to pass through it is called transparent object. I'll tell you the example later on. I'll show you. Then translucent object. An object which can be seen through but not very clearly. Just light. There is something the other side. But what is that? We can't make out. So such kind of object is called translucent. Then opaque object. An object which cannot be seen through at all. Like something like this or book or any object through which we cannot see. That is called opaque object. So let me tell you, let me show you the example. See, there is a glass here and the car is visible clearly. Here there is a translucent like tracing paper or a butter paper through which we can see but it's not clear. And the opaque object, there is something we covered, we put opaque object and the light falls on it and it doesn't pass through, so we can't see the car. So let's do an activity. Look around yourself and collect as many objects as you can. An eraser, plastic scale, pen, pencil, notebook, single sheet of paper, tracing paper or a piece of cloth. Try to look at something far away through each of these objects. So all these objects what you have collected with which you will put like this and see, you will try to see some object the other side. Is light from a faraway object able to travel to your eye through any of the objects? You have to note down. Record your observations in the given table. So you make a table like this. So what all objects you collected, you just put it in this column. And then try to see with those objects and note down the details. So what can be the details? Fully able to see through, partially able to see through, or not at all. Not at all means you are not able to see through. So if fully able to see means it should be transparent. If it is partially means translucent. If it is not at all means opaque. That will be the conclusion. So pencil. So you have collected all the objects, right? So for example, say I'll teach you how to note down the conclusions in the given table. For example, pencil. If you see through the pencil, will you be able to see anything else? You can't see anything, right? Light cannot pass through, right? So you have to write down not at all. What is meant by not at all? Because its light is not passing through means opaque object. So you will conclude, you write opaque. So rubber ball, you keep playing, right? So through rubber ball, can you see? No, right? So not at all. So what is meant by not at all? It is opaque. So sheet of writing paper. In a sheet of writing paper, if you see, you may see little bit but not clear. Means partially. Partially means translucent. Translucent. Okay, so the conclusion is we see that a given object or material could be transparent, translucent or opaque depending on whether it allows light to pass through it completely, partially or not at all. So children, you know how to fill up the table. So we have already done it. Okay, let's move on. So what are shadows? Children, I think everyone knows about shadows. Everybody, we all, when we go under the sun, we find a dark patch moving like us. It depends, the size and everything depends upon the position of the source, like sun. So sun emits light, right? So that light passes through us and makes a patch on the road. That you people must have come across. Okay, that is what is shown there. See, and this is the dark patch, right? That is shadow. So let us do an activity. When you stand blocking the sunlight, you will be able to see your own shadow on the ground as a dark patch. I told you. Sometimes you can identify the object by looking at its shadow. Isn't it correct? Sometimes if the light is there, you are in a room, suddenly you switched on the light or a candle light. If you stand, you can see your image formation. You can, by looking at that image, shadow, you can make out it is a person, right? Spread a sheet of paper on the ground. Hold a familiar opaque object at some height so that its shadow is formed on the sheet of paper on the ground. Ask any of your friends to draw the outline of the shadow. Outline of the shadow. while you are holding the object. Now, ask some other friends to identify the objects from these outlines of the shadows that you projected on the paper. What is needed in order to see a shadow? Light source, an opaque object. Is there anything else required? Yes. We need a screen. Do this activity in the dark. Go out in an open ground with few of your friends. Take a torch and a large sheet of cardboard with you. Hold the torch close to the ground and shine it upwards so that its light falls on your friend's face. You now have a source of light that is falling on an opaque object. We are opaque, right? So, light doesn't pass through us. So, we are opaque. Now, ask another friend to hold the cardboard sheet behind your friend. Is the shadow now seen on the cardboard sheet? Yes. What can you conclude from this activity? So, for a shadow, we need a light source, an object, and the screen on which the shadow falls. This is the picture which I am talking about. Okay, you can see that. What is needed in order to see a shadow? See, we have done an activity. In that, what did we conclude? So, we need a source, light source, we need an opaque object and the screen. So, here, children, can you tell me what is the screen? Yes, it is the wall. It is the wall. So, the ground, walls of a room, a building or other such surfaces act as a screen for the shadows you observe in everyday life. Shadows gives us some information about the shape of objects. Some information. So, let's go to activity 4. Place a chair in the school ground on a sunny day. What do you observe from the shadow of the chair? Does the shadow give an accurate picture of the shape of the chair? If the chair is turned around a little, how does the shape of the shadow change? This I want you people to do practically and tell me. Take a thin notebook and look at its shadow. Then take a rectangular box and look at its shadow. Do the two shadows seem to have a similar shape? I want you to do all these exercises. Okay? Take flowers or other objects of different colors and look at their shadows. A red rose and a yellow rose, for instance, do the shadows look different in color when the color of the objects are different? I want all these things to be noted down and you have to tell me back. Okay? Take a long box and look at its shadow on the ground. When you move the box around, you may see that the size of the shadow changes. When is the shadow of the box the shortest? When the long side of the box is pointed towards the sun or when the short side is pointing towards the sun. I want you to do this exercise as well. Okay? So it's a simple exercise. Rearrange the boxes given below to make a sentence that helps us understand opaque objects. Can you try? Try. Okay, I will show. So what is this exercise? The answer for that is opaque objects make shadows. Isn't it correct? Yes. Opaque objects make shadows. Do you know these facts? Do you know what it is? It's called sundials. Long time ago, people observed the way shadows were formed by the sun and utilized this principle in making the world's most primitive clocks, the sundials. So these are basically, now we have all these wall clocks and all these things, watches and everything. So in the ancient days, people used to depend upon such kind of sundials. Okay. The first person to calculate the size of the planet Earth with a high degree of accuracy used simple geometric equations and measurements of shadows. So he is the person, Eratosthenes. And one more exercise I want you people to do. Learn to make shadows with your hands. This is the hand, this is the wall. You put a candle or a light, torchlight, and you try to do all these images. Okay? So it's looking like a dog. So different animals you can make. Okay? Have you heard of vianculate or puppet shadow play? See, this is how they make a puppet show. Vianculate is a traditional form of puppet shadow play originally found in the cultures of Java, Bali and Lombok in Indonesia. In this performance, the puppet figures are projected on a screen using some light source. The shadow artist manipulates the carved leather figures between the lamp and the screen to bring the shadows to life. See, when they move those the leather objects, which are like Rama, Sita and all, so they move the hands and legs and they try to put some arrows, so to describe certain events. A common play depicted using vianculate is the story of Ramayana, involving Lord Rama, Mother Sita and Daman Ravana. So you can see all this. This is how they do it. So they use the threads and all to move the hands and the legs. Children, if you are interested having your own Ramayana shadow play, you can make the following puppets and conduct your own shadow play with your friends. Enjoy yourself by remembering the qualities of Lord Rama as you perform this play. These are the puppets you need to make, and threads, and using those threads and a screen and a light source, you can do a fantastic Ramayana shadow play. Okay? Thank you, children. I think you have really enjoyed this class and learned a lot. And don't forget to do those activities which I want you to do at your home. Okay? Sai Ram. Take care. See you in the next class.